Terry Van Aken worked at the Navy's Child Development Center for 21 years. Lita Gonzalez for 21 years. June Rosario for 22 years. And Trina Borja, who was only there for 6 months but has 17 years of experience in this field, was their manager. These are 4 of 7 women who were not picked up by the Chugach Alaska Corporation when the locally owned Global Food Services contract expired and the new contract was given to Chugach via a sole source procurement.
We don't know why they were sole source. We do know that when GFS, our previous contract, found out late in the game that there was no proposal. The federal government is supposed to put out the proposals for the local businesses to be able to bid on these contracts. That's what that RFP was made for in terms of what Madeline and all the senators were doing. And nobody knew, not even GFS, until 4 days before the contract was to end, that the government chose, sole source, chose Chugach. And that was just the end of the game right there.
PNC asked the Navy whether or not the contract was sole sourced, and if so, why. Although the Navy did respond to our other questions, they did not respond to this question. Whether or not the contract was sole sourced, these ladies still want to know why they weren't rehired. Last week, Chugach Western Pacific Regional Manager Ray Lanetta said Chugach was simply following the provisions of the new contract, which required that these ladies meet certain educational requirements they didn't meet.
That is absolutely incorrect. Myself, I have a degree as well as 17 years of experience in early childhood, and there is another, Lisa also has a degree, and then a third person has a degree, an AA in her position, and she wasn't picked up as well.
As for the women who don't have degrees?
They have 16 to 22 years in these facilities. You cannot just take that for nothing at all. I will say, I do have a degree, and it does help me. But these ladies' experience is worth sometimes way more than anybody's degree that will ever give them. And these guys know the Bible of the CY program. They know the OPNAV like the back of their hand.
So why are they no longer qualified? In an emailed response, the Navy says that they, quote, updated the performance requirements of the new contract to comply with the most recent version of Navy policy for the operation of child and youth programs, which was released in 2008.
The Navy Child Development Center's child youth programs go through annual inspections from the CNIC, and every single year they have never made any comments about our ladies, our managers, my managers, not being educationally qualified, even going as far as giving June the waiver way back in 1994. Absolutely not okay. I mean, what, these guys are nothing now? Nothing? Not true. These guys have worked from the bottom up, which is what we usually encourage for people. They don't have time to go and get their degree. Why? Because they work 10 to 12 hours a day, because that's how much they love their job.
These women feel that someone in the Navy simply did not want them to be rehired, and some of them feel it was due to racial discrimination, especially June Rosario, who was given a waiver from the Navy back in 1995 that says she does not need a degree to hold her position.
That's really how I feel, that racism was there. That's how I personally felt. I mean, you would say hello and you don't get a response back. That's not customer service. That's disrespect to me.
Rosario says that MWR worked closely with Chugach during the transition period, something she has never seen before when other private contractors took over. This is why she and the others feel that someone in MWR was telling Chugach who to keep. The Navy responded by saying, quote, the Navy does not play any role in determining which employees the contractor chooses to retain or hire as long as the contractor fulfills the terms of the contract and obeys the law. And as for Rosario's waiver, quote, this waiver dated from 1995 and was applicable to a facility at the former NICTAMS Guam before the Base Realignment and Closure Act realigned the facility under Naval Base Guam and outsourced child and youth program services. That facility is no longer in service. Another reason the women suspect discrimination is because of who the Navy hired to replace them.
They're all military spouses, as far as we know. They are all, if I'm correct, degreed, which is great, but they're young. Not everybody has experience if they're degreed. And our new, they're military spouses. They're going to PCS out of here in 2 to 3 years. So then what's going to happen is the entire management team, including the government side, the 3 government people there, they're all going to be gone again. And so now there's going to be a whole nother turnover. Nobody ever wants management to turn over like that that soon, that quick.
We asked the Navy whether or not this was true, but they didn't address the question in their response. Instead, they stated, quote, Chugach Federal Services filled 68 positions under the contract, with 2 positions vacant and advertised. Of those 68 employees, 63 were employees of the previous contractor. And, quote, the Navy does not comment on specific staffing decisions made by private contractors.
When they eliminate 7 people, locals who've been here, live here, this is our home, what we want to do for our community and our people, it just does not play well with I think, the local people at all.